relationship right now?
Currently, in this time, I think communication is always key. I think you hear that repeated many, many times again. Communication's key, communication's key. I think it goes beyond just saying communication's key because I think people in a relationship need to communicate their feelings, communicate their wants and desires. And I think if communication is clear, it prevents things from bottling up inside and it prevents resentment, in my opinion, from developing. That's what I think is key.
How do you feel seen in a relationship?
For me personally, I feel seen if initiative is taken without me asking. If, for instance, I'm doing something and I could be taking out the trash or whatever it is, if the initiative's taken and let's say it looks like I'm doing some work around the house or doing work wherever, if my partner takes initiative in helping me out, sees that I'm doing a lot of work or that I may need help, just stepping in without me having to ask. I think initiative is one of those things that makes me feel seen, it makes me feel valued too.
So that's the way. Do you receive love when people do act of service?
I think I am a person where acts of service is treasured more so in my heart. I know that there's different ways of showing love, whether it's gifts, I think, service, but I think maybe more so service is where I feel like a connection is there.
How do you show love?
I've learned that. I've learned that because people do receive love in different ways. And my partner, for instance, she receives love based off of like receiving gifts and so forth. But in my personal touch, in my personal opinion, I feel maybe if I demonstrate it in my form of acts of service, then it would be reciprocated or it would be felt like that. And I've learned that that's not always the case. But it's not that the gifts have to be materialistic, but come to understand that the gifts are more of like a personal touch to say, hey, I was thinking about you or I care about you. It doesn't have to be you need to buy me something expensive. It's just, oh, you thought of me. You saw that I maybe needed something like this, and you thought of me. You already went ahead and you got it for me. Something like that.
And an advice for men out there, for those maybe disappear when they getting close to a relationship. Do you think it's more fear or maybe struggling with emotion?
I think it could be a combination of a lot of different things. I think a lot of people do get fearful sometimes in the process, maybe of getting too close or too attached. I think maybe there could be internal undealt with trauma that maybe so you didn't recover from a past relationship and you're trying to seek in another relationship. And maybe you haven't healed properly. And maybe sometimes not giving yourself enough time causes further issues in other relationships, and it's just a constant perpetual cycle. I always think it's very important if I'm giving advice, is if there's something that you've gone through in your past relationship or something that you haven't fully recovered from, allow yourself and give yourself that time to seek help and or therapy to conquer that first hurdle, and then you are ready to be maybe in a relationship with somebody else. I don't think coming in with baggage and issues is going to be a recipe for a successful formula for a long-standing relationship. That's my opinion.
What do you think women needs to know about men emotions?
That's a very good question. I think that if it's not already known, I think maybe to understand that men are a little bit more rational, logical thinking creatures. I think it's important to understand that many times that we don't necessarily act always maybe on impulse or feelings, but maybe thinking a few steps ahead logistically, does it make sense? Or does it make sense for you to be upset? Or does it make sense for this to happen this way? A little bit more logically step oriented thinking than it is emotionally charged. I think that